I am Max, but I don't know your names. I mean, you just told me your names, but you said it with a southern accent that a guy from Indiana doesn't do too well with.
My name is Ron Elmore.
And I'm Anne Marie Elmore.
Are you saying Marie?
Anne Marie.
Oh, okay, Anne Marie.
Yeah.
What do you do, and does it make any difference in the lives of the people that you come across?
We certainly hope so, and trust that God will continue to do that in those lives that come across our ministry. Our ministry is called Beyond Imagination.
Okay, I know something about this. So we're going to put this with an interview we did last year, and I know this is going to be a great interview. I'm going to ask you something, Anne Marie.
Yep.
Will people hear some surprises in this interview?
I think they will.
Okay, you want to start?
Yes. We're a politically incorrect ministry. And that is that we minister to people with unwanted same-sex attractions.
Are you husband and wife?
We are.
We are very much so. For not long enough is my standard answer.
Yes.
Is he telling the truth?
He is telling the truth. That's his only answer. Not long enough.
You almost got me to say it
You
on
did.
camera, which is very unusual. I never do, because I don't believe my marriage will be long enough ever.
But something must have happened, or there wasn't anything to talk about here. You wanted to talk.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
the name really came out of Ron's life story. And when the ministry got started, when they were thinking, brainstorming names, one of his board members said, "Okay, let's get serious for a minute. What has God done in your life?" And Ron said, "What God has done in my life is beyond my imagination."
That is true. 49 years ago, I discovered this issue with same-sex attraction in my life. I actively pursued it from 11 until about 30. And so 29 years ago, you can do the math, the Lord came to me and helped me to understand my life journey. 21 years ago, I realized how much I needed community and the church, and that I had a story to share, something that God had given to me that I could give to others. And so I started inviting people to meet with me, and then this ministry was birthed.
Does this mean that Ron spends a good deal of his time condemning people?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. So he spends his time doing a number of things, but one of them is support groups for men and women who have unwanted same-sex attraction. So they're choosing to leave the LGBT identity behind. And the other group is parents and friends who have loved ones who are LGBT identified and who have come out to their families. And so he stepped away from ministry for about 5 years because the Lord was leading him away from Beyond Imagination for 5 years to do a number of other things. And
5 years ago, almost 6 years ago now, I really felt the release of the Lord to leave Beyond Imagination behind. It was more about my growth with Him. The issue had been a part of my life for so long, and I was frankly sick of it. Talking about it, identifying with it, because it wasn't who I was. It wasn't a part of my life. It just wasn't me. And I was tired.
Tired of what are you saying? Tired of what?
Tired of the topic, the issue of being known as a ministry leader to the gay community or to those who struggle with this. And I wanted the peace and for people to know me as her husband, as a father to an adopted teenager, and as a businessman, because we had a business on the side that had begun to grow, and all of this converged at the same time.
so he also wanted to be just known as Ron,
Yeah,
not
I got a
as
name.
the guy with the history of being gay identified.
Actually, you know, when I interview different people, not actually with a microphone, but sometimes when I'm just checking into different situations, different people to see if there's an interview potential there. Sometimes I'm so surprised that they identify themselves above anything else as gay, and I don't like that, because there's so much more to identity that I don't like that. And I'm sure some people would say, "You don't understand." No, I do understand. I do have friends and a family member or two, relatives.
Right.
I do understand.
Right.
But they would say, "Well, you don't understand their struggle." No, I do understand what they're talking about.
I understand also. I understand that it's hard to let go of something that you have thought of yourself as being for so many years, if you will. I too identified myself as gay, and then I identified myself as ex-gay, and then I identified myself as a man of God, and then I was like, wait a minute, I know who I am. Why do I have to identify myself? Those 5 years were amazing. I came home to my wife, I came home to my son, we had dinner, we talked, we walked, we fought, we played, we went shopping, we did what people do, and the conversation never centered around homosexuality, what was happening in the world, who's coming to ministry. It was just us being a family, right?
And so I've been a partner somewhat in ministry with him. So now that he's come back, now that he's come back to the ministry, and the culture has changed so much, it is...
The Lord has given us a different vision
right.
now.
Yeah. And so that vision will continue to be to support those, the same groups that they've been doing, and it's always been to help the church, but it's how do we help believers be comfortable in engaging the LGBT community? How can we help them be confident? How can we help people like you who have friends and relatives be comfortable engaging in conversation with them?
Now, I've been interviewing people for so long on different things. I started interviewing men, I guess when I was 17, on their wayward behaviors.
Right.
There are all kinds of sexual issues. It's possible to make it like this is the only, or like this is the worst.
Well, there's some debate even in the Christian church about whether homosexuality is worse than blah, blah, blah.
Do we get anywhere with that kind of talk?
No, absolutely not.
There is no agreement among gays.
There is not. There is not.
They have a lot of views.
There's a lot of disparities between what people say in the subculture.
But in the mainstream, in all the news, it's as if there's just this
one voice,
official voice. But
and
when I interview them,
there is not. But for example,
in other words, they would have bitter differences if we were to place them in one room and make them...
There would be no consensus about how you should articulate the diverse orientations or sexual portrayals. It's going to be like, it's going to be where a free fall.
I know there are people who would listen to this and say, Ron's not right. It doesn't have to be a lonely life. I'm very happy, and I know very happy.
I had a great time. Had a great life. I loved my culture. I loved where I hung out. I loved the people I was hanging out with.
Well, I pushed a button there.
Well, I want you to know the truth. The truth is what it is. I had a great life in my gay community. Okay? I had friends. I had people who loved me, who accepted me. And up until that point in my life, I didn't have that. We're talking about childhood woundings and families and so forth. But when I belonged, it was probably one of the most free, because I was able to say I was me, I was who I was, okay? It was when Christ entered into the picture and simply said, you can live a different way. And because I believe that God is who he says he is, I said, okay. I was perfect for about 2 seconds. And then I fell flat on my face. And it's taken many years of, talking to him and engaging with the community, my Christian community, the body of Christ, to come to an understanding of my journey and my past right? But I can tell you that we are not about attacking or accusing or threatening people. We love people where they are, but we're also going to be true followers of Christ to the very best of our ability.
We have friends who are in relationship with a same-sex partner, and we remain friends with them. And they, one friend in particular that I'm thinking about knew me before I married Ron, and then was a little disrupted when she found out what my husband did. But then as she got to know us, she loves him.
Of course she loves me.
Yeah.
What's not to love? I'm a great guy. I love her right where she is.
So on the other hand, there are people, say, who were
Walking with me, and then they decided, no, I don't agree anymore, Ron. That's your decision. Your decision doesn't have to be my decision, and vice versa. So am I going to sit with him every night and kind of call him and that kind of thing? I don't think that's good for him nor me.
I see.
So, because that person might want validation for the decision that he's made, he or she has made to go back.